The quantum anomaly appeared without warning in Earth's orbit on a quiet Tuesday morning in 2157. Within hours, every major observatory and space monitoring station had their instruments trained on the mysterious phenomenon as it pulsed with otherworldly energy. Dr. Sarah Chen, lead physicist at the Global Space Initiative, watched in fascination as her quantum sensors registered readings that defied known physics. "These energy signatures are like nothing we've ever seen," she murmured, examining the holographic display. "It's as if space itself is being folded." The anomaly grew larger, its iridescent surface rippling like disturbed water. Then, in a flash of blinding light, it split open. Through the tear in space emerged a vessel that dwarfed humanity's largest space stations. Its surface gleamed with a metallic sheen that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, its hull adorned with geometric patterns that pulsed with internal energy. First contact had arrived, and humanity was woefully unprepared. The Nexari ship hung in orbit like a sword of Damocles, silent and imposing. For 3 days, it made no move to communicate or approach. Global militaries scrambled their forces, but against a civilization capable of folding space itself, Earth's defenses seemed primitive at best. When the aliens finally broadcast their message, it came simultaneously through every communication device on Earth. The transmission showed a being that appeared almost crystalline, with faceted features and eyes that glowed with cold intelligence. "People of Earth," the translation matrix rendered in multiple languages, "we are the Nexari Dominion. Your world has been chosen for elevation. Prepare for integration." Admiral James Rodriguez, standing in the Pentagon's command center, felt his blood run cold at the clinical tone. Elevation and integration, euphemisms that masked darker intentions. He'd studied enough history to recognize the language of colonizers. Before Earth's governments could formulate a response, more quantum rifts tore open around the planet. Dozens of Nexari vessels emerged, their weapon systems charging with ominous purpose. The invasion began not with dramatic bombardments, but with precision strikes that crippled key military installations worldwide in minutes. The Nexari's technology seemed to operate on principles that violated known physics. Their weapons phased through the strongest bunkers. Their shields deflected nuclear strikes as if they were mere firecrackers. Within hours, Earth's conventional military response lay in ruins. But the Nexari had made a crucial mistake. They had expected immediate surrender. They didn't understand that humans, when backed into a corner, became their most dangerous. In the smoking ruins of Santiago's command center, Colonel Maria Ramirez pulled herself from the wreckage. Around her, surviving soldiers regrouped, salvaging what weapons they could. Her tactical display showed similar scenes playing out globally, scattered forces going to ground, preparing for a long guerrilla war. "They think they've won," she told her troops, checking the charge on her rifle. "They think we'll break. But they don't know humans very well, do they?" In hidden laboratories around the world, scientists like Dr. Chen began analyzing every scrap of data from the Nexari attacks, searching for weaknesses. In underground bunkers, military leaders like Rodriguez coordinated a global resistance network. And in cities under alien occupation, ordinary citizens began their own quiet rebellion. The Nexari established processing centers in major cities, implementing their elevation protocol. Humans were to be cybernetically augmented, their bodies and minds altered to better serve the Dominion. Those who resisted disappeared into massive ships, never to be seen again. But even as the alien conquerors tightened their grip, humanity's greatest strength emerged: adaptability. In the sewers beneath New Delhi, resistance fighters discovered that the Nexari's advanced sensors could be fooled by simple electromagnetic interference. In the mountains of Colorado, a team of engineers began reverse engineering salvaged alien technology. The most promising discovery came from an unlikely source: Dr. Chen, analyzing data from a captured Nexari drone, noticed something strange about their bioneural interfaces. The aliens' technological superiority relied heavily on quantum entanglement, but their systems showed unusual vulnerability to specific radiation frequencies. Their entire neural network, she explained to Admiral Rodriguez via secure channel. It's like a quantum web. Complex, but potentially fragile if we can hit the right frequency. It wasn't much, but it was a start. As the Nexeri consolidated their control of Earth's surface, humanity prepared for a long war. They would need every scrap of ingenuity, every ounce of courage, and every bit of human stubbornness to survive. In the ruins of London, a group of children played a new game, marking Nexeri patrol routes with coded chalk symbols. In the Australian outback, Aboriginal guides led resistance fighters through ancient paths the aliens couldn't detect. In Brazilian favelas, street gangs turned their criminal networks into intelligence-gathering operations. The Nexeri had expected to find a primitive species ready for harvesting. Instead, they had awakened a planet of warriors, scientists, and survivors. The real war was just beginning, and humanity would show these ancient conquerors why you should never underestimate the tenacity of the human spirit. 6 months into the Nexeri occupation, Earth's surface had become unrecognizable. Crystalline spires pierced the skies of major cities, their surfaces rippling with quantum energy. Processing centers operated day and night, transforming captured humans into cybernetically enhanced servants. But beneath this facade of alien control, a storm was brewing. Dr. Sarah Chen worked tirelessly in a hidden facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The lab, originally designed as a Cold War fallback site, now housed humanity's best hope for survival. Scattered around her were pieces of salvaged Nexeri technology, each component a potential key to understanding their weaknesses. "There's something wrong with this one," she muttered, examining a neural interface through a quantum microscope. The device, recovered from a crashed Nexeri scout ship, showed unusual degradation patterns. "The quantum field is destabilizing." An explosion rocked the facility, sending equipment crashing to the floor. Through the intercom came the dreaded announcement: "Breach in Sector 7. Nexeri forces detected." Chen quickly initiated emergency protocols, encrypting her data as security teams rushed to defend the facility. But this time, something was different. The Nexeri weren't using their usual phase-through tactics. Colonel Maria Ramirez led the defense personally, her guerrilla forces now equipped with makeshift electromagnetic pulse weapons. To everyone's surprise, the Nexeri troops seemed to be moving more cautiously, almost clumsily. "They're adapting," Ramirez realized, watching through tactical displays. "They're learning not to rely so heavily on their quantum tech. But so are we." The battle for the facility raged for hours, but this time, humanity held its ground. When the smoke cleared, they had something unprecedented: captured Nexeri soldiers. The aliens' crystalline bodies lay inert, their quantum neural networks disrupted by the improvised weapons. Dr. Chen's examination of the captives revealed something extraordinary. The Nexeri weren't naturally crystalline beings. They had transformed themselves over millennia of cybernetic enhancement. Their original organic forms have been almost entirely replaced by quantum crystalline technology. "They're not just using this technology," Chen explained to Admiral Rodriguez in a secure briefing. "They've become the technology. And that might be their greatest weakness." Across the globe, resistance cells began sharing similar observations. In the ruins of Tokyo, resistance fighters noticed Nexeri patrols malfunctioning during solar flares. In the Amazon, indigenous warriors found that certain native plants seemed to interfere with alien sensors. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. In a hidden lab in Bangalore, Dr. Arun Patel had been experimenting with ancient meditation techniques combined with neural interface technology. His research suggested that the human brain's natural quantum states could potentially disrupt Nexeri systems. "Our consciousness," he explained via encrypted channel, "it exists partially in quantum space." The Nexeri tried to harness this through force, through their elevation process. But the human mind naturally resists such intrusion. The implications were staggering. Humanity's greatest weapon against the technologically superior Nexeri might be the very thing they couldn't quantify or control: the human spirit itself. Admiral Rodriguez coordinated a global effort to exploit these discoveries. Underground factories began producing devices that could amplify human neural patterns, creating disruption fields that interfered with Nexeri quantum networks. Resistance fighters learned to enter meditative states that made them virtually invisible to alien sensors. But the Nexeri weren't idle. Their ships began deploying new weapons, terrible devices that could rewrite the quantum states of entire city blocks, turning humans into mindless drones. The race was on to develop countermeasures before the aliens could perfect their new technology. In occupied zones, civilians organized into cells, each developing their own methods of resistance. Street artists in Paris created murals that confused Nexeri optical sensors. Hackers in Silicon Valley found ways to introduce chaos into alien quantum networks through simple binary code. Every human victory, no matter how small, proved that the Nexeri's technological superiority wasn't absolute. The Resistance's greatest asset proved to be human diversity itself. Every culture, every way of thinking, every different approach to problem-solving created new challenges for the mathematically precise Nexeri. They couldn't predict or control what they couldn't understand. Dr. Chen, working with data from resistance cells worldwide, began to see a pattern emerging. The Nexeri's obsession with quantum technology had made them dependent on it. Their hatred of chaos and disorder had led them to create systems that were incredibly powerful but fundamentally brittle. "They've sacrificed adaptability for power," she told her team, examining the latest test results. "They've forgotten how to deal with uncertainty, with change. But that's where humans excel." As the first year of occupation drew to a close, humanity had moved beyond mere survival. The Resistance had become a true fighting force, armed with understanding of their enemy and weapons that could actually hurt them. More importantly, they had something the Nexeri couldn't compute: hope. In hidden bases around the world, humans prepared for the next phase of the war. They had learned to turn the Nexeri's greatest strength into a weakness. Now it was time to take the fight to the stars themselves. Project Prometheus began in the depths of Antarctica, far from Nexeri detection. The facility, carved into the ice by automated mining drones, housed the largest concentration of human scientific minds ever assembled. Here, Dr. Chen and her international team worked to transform their understanding of Nexeri weaknesses into a weapon that could turn the tide of war. The breakthrough came during a failed experiment. Dr. Patel had been attempting to amplify human neural patterns when something unexpected happened. The quantum field generated by his device didn't just disrupt Nexeri technology. It began to interface with it. "It's not just disruption," Chen explained to the assembled military leadership. "We can actually hijack their quantum networks. The human brain's natural quantum states are more complex than their artificial ones. We can override their control." Admiral Rodriguez leaned forward, his holographic image flickering. "How soon can we weaponize this?" "We already have," Chen replied, gesturing to a row of sleek devices. "Meet the Prometheus protocol." The first field test of the new technology came 3 days later. In occupied Buenos Aires, a small team of resistance fighters approached a Nexeri processing center. Each wore a neural amplifier, carefully tuned to their individual brainwave patterns. As they drew near, the alien facility's defenses didn't just fail, they turned against their masters. The success was unprecedented. For the first time, humans had not just evaded or disrupted Nexeri technology, they had controlled it. News of the victory spread through resistance networks worldwide, inspiring similar attacks. The Nexeri, for the first time, showed signs of genuine alarm. But the real shock came during the liberation of Sao Paulo. As resistance forces stormed a Nexeri command center, they discovered something unexpected: other aliens, held in stasis pods. These beings were different from the Nexeri, organic rather than crystalline, clearly prisoners. One of them, a reptilian creature called Shar, revealed a truth that changed everything. The Nexari weren't just conquerors, they were harvesters. They sought out species with high neural plasticity, capturing them for experiments in quantum consciousness enhancement. Those who survived became slaves. Those who didn't became raw materials for their bioquantum technology. Your species, Shar explained through a translator, has shown unprecedented resistance to their control. This makes you both a threat and a prize they desperately want. The liberation of other captive species became a priority. Each brought their own knowledge, technology, and burning desire for revenge against the Nexari. An interstellar alliance began to form, with humanity's neural interface technology as its foundation. Project Prometheus expanded rapidly. Dr. Chen worked with alien scientists, combining their knowledge with human insights. They discovered that each species' unique form of consciousness could interface with Nexari technology in different ways. Together, they were developing capabilities the Nexari had never imagined possible. The first major offensive came 3 months later. A combined fleet of human and allied ships, retrofitted with Prometheus technology, struck at a major Nexari shipyard in Earth orbit. The battle was fierce but decisive. Neural-linked human pilots outmaneuvered the mathematically precise Nexari ships, while allied technicians turned the shipyard's own defenses against it. The Nexari responded with desperate fury. New waves of ships emerged from quantum rifts, carrying weapons designed to target organic neural patterns. But the Alliance had anticipated this. Each new Nexari weapon found itself facing countermeasures developed by the combined genius of multiple species. Perhaps the most significant development came from an unexpected source. A young programmer named Maya Patel, Dr. Patel's daughter, discovered that human creative expression, art, music, dance, generated neural patterns that were particularly effective at disrupting Nexari control systems. The resistance began incorporating artists into their combat teams, their creative energy amplified by Prometheus devices to create chaos in enemy ranks. As victories mounted, the Alliance began to uncover more of the Nexari's dark secrets. The crystalline beings had once been organic themselves, choosing to sacrifice their biological nature in pursuit of technological perfection. Their quest for order and control had driven them to remake themselves, and now they sought to force that same transformation on others. In orbit above Mars, a combined human-alien force discovered a massive Nexari research facility. Inside, they found horrifying evidence of experiments conducted on countless species, but they also found something else. Signs that the Nexari's technological evolution had begun to stagnate. They could only progress by incorporating new neural patterns from other species. They're trapped, Dr. Chen realized, studying the facility's data cores. They've reached the limits of artificial quantum consciousness. That's why they're so desperate to capture and transform other species. They need our organic complexity to evolve further. This revelation sparked a new phase of Project Prometheus. If the Nexari needed organic neural patterns to advance, perhaps humanity and its allies could use that need against them. The war was entering a new phase, one that would test not just humanity's strength and courage, but its very understanding of consciousness itself. Operation Starbreak began at dawn. Across the galaxy, thousands of ships emerged from stealth trajectories, their hulls gleaming with the combined technology of a dozen species. At their core were the human vessels, each crew member linked through Prometheus interfaces to their ships and to each other. Admiral Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Alliance flagship Defiant, watching as the massive fleet approached the Nexari fortress world of Crystallis Prime. The planet's surface was a geometric maze of crystalline structures, each pulsing with quantum energy. This was where the Nexari had perfected their transformation from organic to crystalline life, and now it would be the first target of the liberation. All ships report ready, his XO announced. Neural synchronization at optimal levels. Rodriguez nodded, feeling the familiar tingle of the Prometheus interface connecting his consciousness to the fleet. Begin the attack pattern. Let's show them what organic chaos can do. The battle began with a symphony of human creativity. Artists stationed throughout the fleet channeled their expressions through amplified neural networks, their creative energy rippling through Nexari defense systems in waves of beautiful disruption. The crystalline ships faltered, their precise formations breaking apart as they struggled to compute the unpredictable patterns. On the planet's surface, Dr. Chen led a different kind of assault. Her team had developed a new version of the Prometheus protocol, one that could potentially reverse the Nexari's crystalline transformation. If it worked, it would do more than just defeat them. It would free them from their self-imposed technological prison. Remember, she transmitted to her team as their drop ships penetrated the planetary defense grid. We're not just fighting the Nexari. We're fighting what they've become, what they've lost. The ground war was unlike anything in human history. Alliance forces moved through crystalline canyons, each soldier's neural pattern contributing to a collective field that turned Nexari technology against itself. Liberated alien species brought their own unique abilities to the fight. Shar warriors used their natural quantum sensitivity to detect Nexari ambushes, while ethereal Lux beings channeled pure energy through Prometheus devices. But the Nexari fought back with desperate intensity. New weapons emerged from their fortress laboratories, each more terrible than the last. Crystalline constructs that could shatter organic minds, quantum viruses that turned victims into living computers. Yet for each new horror, the Alliance's diverse perspectives found a counter. Maya Patel, now leading a special operations team, discovered that certain forms of human music could create resonance patterns that shattered Nexari crystal structures. Her team moved through enemy strongholds playing modified symphonies, their weapons conducting a deadly orchestra. The turning point came during the assault on the central nexus. Deep within the planetary core, Alliance forces discovered vast chambers filled with stasis pods. Millions of captured beings from thousands of species, all held in quantum suspension. Among them were the original organic forms of the Nexari themselves, preserved from before their transformation. This is their backup plan, Chen realized, scanning the ancient pods. They kept their original forms in case their evolution went wrong. They never fully committed to their transformation. The discovery changed the nature of the war. The Alliance now fought not just to defeat the Nexari, but to offer them redemption. Dr. Chen's team worked frantically to modify the Prometheus protocol, seeking a way to restore the Nexari's organic consciousness without destroying them. Above the planet, the space battle reached its crescendo. Human intuition merged with alien technology created strategies that the Nexari's quantum computers couldn't predict. Ships danced through impossible maneuvers, their crews linked in neural networks that turned combat into art. Admiral Rodriguez felt every victory and loss through his neural link, the collective consciousness of his fleet, a symphony of determination. Push forward, he ordered as another Nexari fortress fell. Show them the power of unified diversity. The liberation of Crystallis Prime took 3 days of constant battle. When it ended, the planet's crystalline surface was forever changed. In place of rigid geometric patterns, new structures grew that combined organic and technological elements in harmonious ways. It was a physical representation of the balance the Alliance sought to achieve. But victory came at a heavy cost. Thousands of Alliance soldiers fell in the fighting, their sacrifices marked by memorial crystals that grew from the transformed surface. The surviving Nexari, faced with the truth of their origins and the offer of restoration, began to fracture into factions. Some accepted the chance to reclaim their organic nature, while others fled deeper into their fortress worlds. As the Alliance consolidated its victory, preparing for the next phase of the liberation, Dr. Chen made another breakthrough. The stasis pods contained more than just bodies. They held the complete history of the Nexari civilization, the story of how fear of chaos and death had driven them to seek perfection in crystalline form, and how that perfection had become their prison. The war was far from over. Across the galaxy, more Nexari strongholds awaited liberation. But now the Alliance fought with renewed purpose, carrying not just weapons of war, but the promise of redemption. The next phase would determine not just the fate of humanity and its allies, but the very future of consciousness itself in the galaxy. The Nexari homeworld, Crystallos, hung in space like a fractured diamond. Its surface was a maze of quantum processors and crystalline spires that dwarfed mountains, all pulsing with desperate energy. This was where it had all begun millennia ago, where an ancient species had first chosen to abandon their organic nature in pursuit of perfection. Now it would end here. The Alliance fleet emerged from quantum space in perfect formation, their ships representing the combined technological achievement of dozens of species. At their heart was the human flagship Prometheus, its hull incorporating both organic and crystalline elements in a harmony the Nexari had never achieved. Dr. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge beside Admiral Rodriguez, their neural interfaces connecting them to the vast network of human and alien minds that made up the Alliance consciousness. Through their shared awareness, they could feel the determination of every being in the fleet, each contributing their unique perspective to the collective strategy. The Nexari have concentrated their remaining forces here, Rodriguez observed, watching holographic displays show enemy movements. They're defending something in the planetary core. Maya Patel's voice came through the neural net, her consciousness tinged with excitement. The quantum signatures are off the scale. Whatever they're protecting, it's more powerful than anything we've encountered. The battle began not with weapons, but with art. Throughout the fleet, human artists and their alien counterparts channeled their creativity through advanced Prometheus devices. Music, dance, poetry, and pure emotional expression rippled through space, creating patterns of quantum interference that the Nexari couldn't compute. The enemy response was immediate and devastating. New weapons platforms emerged from the planet's surface, firing beams that could rewrite the very fabric of space-time. But the Alliance was ready. Ships moved in formations that mimicked natural phenomena. The spiral of galaxies, the flow of water, the dance of electrons. Their unpredictability was their shield. On the planet's surface, Dr. Chen led a strike team into the depths of the Nexari command complex. Each step brought them closer to understanding the truth. The walls themselves were alive with quantum information, telling the story of a species so afraid of death and chaos that they had tried to encode themselves into pure mathematics. They tried to become living equations, Chen realized, reading the patterns. They thought they could eliminate uncertainty from existence itself. The central chamber was a sphere of pure quantum crystal, at its heart a singularity of compressed information, the combined consciousness of the original Nexari leadership, preserved at the moment of their transformation. This was the source of their ideology, the drive for perfect order that had led them to terrorize the galaxy. But the Alliance brought something the Nexari had never expected: acceptance of imperfection. The modified Prometheus protocol didn't seek to destroy the quantum consciousness, but to merge it with organic patterns, to show them that true evolution came from embracing chaos, not eliminating it. Maya's team, coordinating from orbit, began broadcasting a symphony of consciousness. Human thoughts and emotions merged with alien perspectives, creating a quantum chorus that resonated with the fundamental frequencies of existence itself. The crystalline structures began to pulse in harmony, their rigid patterns flowing into more organic forms. In space, the battle reached its climax. Admiral Rodriguez coordinated the fleet through the neural network, each ship moving as part of a vast dance. Nexari weapons fired with mathematical precision, but they couldn't hit targets that moved with artistic improvisation. The Alliance's strategy wasn't just military. It was a demonstration of their core belief that strength came from diversity, from the beautiful uncertainty of life itself. Deep in the planetary core, Dr. Chen and her team reached the quantum singularity. The chamber around them resonated with the accumulated knowledge of the Nexari civilization, their hopes, their fears, their desperate quest for certainty in an uncertain universe. Through the Prometheus interface, Chen broadcast a simple message: there is beauty in chaos. There is strength in change. There is infinity in imperfection. The effect rippled through the quantum network that connected all Nexari consciousness. The crystalline beings faced a choice: continue their futile quest for perfect order, or embrace a new evolution that combined the best of organic and technological existence. The transformation began slowly, then accelerated. Across crystals, rigid structures flowed like liquid crystal, reforming into shapes that followed natural patterns. The Nexari themselves began to change, their pure crystalline forms incorporating organic elements. They didn't return to their original forms, but instead became something new, a true fusion of nature and technology. In orbit, the weapons fell silent. The battle ended not with destruction, but with transformation. The Alliance fleet watched as Crystallos itself seemed to come alive, its surface blooming with structures that looked like crystal flowers and quantum trees. Admiral Rodriguez and Dr. Chen stood in the central chamber, watching through their neural interfaces as a new age dawned. The Nexari who emerged from the transformation were neither the organic beings they had once been nor the crystal entities they had become. They were something unprecedented, a species that had found balance between order and chaos, between technology and nature. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. Throughout the galaxy, former Nexari worlds began their own transformations. The Alliance established itself as a federation of equals, with humanity playing a crucial role as bridges between organic and synthetic life. Earth, once a primitive world targeted for conquest, became a symbol of the power of diversity and adaptation. The human capacity to embrace change while maintaining their essential nature had shown the galaxy a new path forward. Dr. Chen, standing in the rebuilt Singapore Research Center, often reflected on how far they had come. On her desk sat a small crystal that pulsed with both quantum energy and organic warmth, a gift from the transformed Nexari. It was a reminder that the greatest victories come not from destroying your enemies, but from helping them grow. The stars shone brighter now, filled with possibilities that neither humanity nor the Nexari had imagined alone. Together, they had discovered that true transcendence came not from escaping chaos, but from dancing with it.